Don't move. Don't even breathe. That rainy afternoon offered no hint that it would become the most dramatic afternoon of Morrow's life. A graying 58-year-old, Morrow was a successful business executive. His parents had immigrated to the country where he now lived when he was just a boy. During the first years in their new homeland, the family had endured times of poverty. That was then. Things had changed. Life had been good to Morrow. He had progressed from street vendor to owner of a chain of lucrative clothing stores. He was a rich man who enjoyed his life. When Morrow drove out of the parking lot late that afternoon, the sky was darkening and the traffic was dense, as it is in any big city at the end of the workday when people are heading home. He drove the same route that he always did. He was tired. What he wanted most was to get into a shower at home and feel the water kneading his body. What happened next occurred with amazing speed. A black Jeep Cherokee turned in front of Morrow. To avoid a collision, he hit his brakes and swerved to the side of the road. Immediately, a dark pickup pulled in behind him, blocking him in. 3 armed men jumped out of the pickup, grabbed him out of his car, and forced him into the back seat of the Cherokee. Then, someone put a hood over his head, pushed him to the floor, and pressed the barrel of a revolver into his neck. Morrow couldn't understand what was happening. "What do you want? Why are you taking me?" he asked. A deep voice replied, "If you cooperate, we won't hurt you. Now shut up and don't move. Don't even breathe." Morrow had heard stories of kidnappings. Someone had even suggested that he shouldn't follow the same route on his commute every day and that he should hire security guards to accompany him. But it all seemed unnecessary. He never thought he would be a victim of the violence that spreads like a plague in big urban centers. Now, fear clutched his heart. When the kidnappers reached their mysterious destination, they walked him inside, tied his hands, and shut him up in a dark place. There were no threats, no explanations, only a cruel silence. Silence is the most effective weapon criminals can use to dominate their prey psychologically and transform them into submissive, obedient victims. Hours passed. Morrow could hear the kidnappers celebrating their success. He wept silently. Though he hadn't been a religious person, he also begged for divine mercy and asked for help. He told the kidnappers he needed to go to the bathroom. No one paid any attention. Eventually, out of sheer exhaustion, he fell asleep in urine-soiled pants, terrified, with no idea where he was or what his kidnappers wanted. When Morrow awoke, the hood still covered his head, and he was finding it hard to breathe. He got up and began to stumble blindly around his prison. Apparently, he was in a cubicle 10 feet square. He felt as though he would go crazy, wondering what his kidnappers were planning. He wished they would talk. Then, maybe he could make sense of the whirlwind of thoughts that spun in his mind. Several hours after Morrow awoke, the criminals allowed him to take a bath, change his clothes, and eat a piece of cold pizza. They took him into a room where there was a bed and a mattress. Then a masked man with a deep voice and a revolver in his fist spoke in the slang of the underworld. "Nothing'll happen to you as long as you and your family cooperate," he said. "We'll feed you and let you go to the bathroom, but we'll be watching. Don't try to escape. It's all over if you do something stupid like that. You're completely in our control. The best thing you can do to help yourself is to help us so that we can end this as soon as possible." For the next week, no one said a word to Morrow. At the end of the week, they told him to write a note to his family asking them to pay the ransom. Then, they took a picture of him holding up that day's newspaper and stopped talking to him again. As long weeks passed, Morrow lost all notion of time. Anguish, despair, bitterness, hate, the desire to kill, feelings he had never before known, now filled the hours. These criminals acted as though they owned the world. To them, Morrow was nothing more than an object, a bag of potatoes. A bag of potatoes to be sold for $2 million. That is what the kidnappers were demanding. But Morrow's family couldn't collect that much money. The delay angered the kidnappers. One day, They came in furious, yelling and shouting. They struck Morrow on the head, knocking him unconscious. When he woke up, his left ear hurt terribly, and he could feel something wet, blood, running down his neck. He raised his hand to his head and found that the kidnappers had cut off a piece of his ear. They sent it to his family to prove they were serious about their demands. Their crude message brought results. Within 48 hours, the family paid $500,000, and the kidnappers abandoned Morrow in a suburb of the city. They had held him captive for 2 months.